Hello, my name is Jeff. This is a Retired Farm Boy channel. I want to welcome you all back to my channel. I want to bring up a video today of topic of don't do what I did before retiring. So these are things I did during my working career that wish they could not have happened, but they did. I just wanted to bring them up for you guys. Tell you a little bit about my story and hope that you're not making those same mistakes. Now, today's video is going to be quite short. It's only 3 or 4 things here to mention, but I do want to say that I'm including a link to a video up above here to the top of the screen at the end of it, where it's referring back to a video I made a few months ago on 10 things for retirement preparation that I think you'll find very interesting and hopefully will give you a little bit of guidelines going if you're at that point in your life where you're thinking about going into retirement. So let's just jump right into it. So as we go through our working lives and everything else, there's probably very few of us out there that probably didn't have a credit card. And when I mean that, there's not necessarily anything terribly wrong with a credit card unless you're not paying that balance off at the end of the month. And that's what I'm really referring to. I did have a time where I was running a credit card balance, maybe even a couple at one time. Car loans. I've had several car loans in my lifetime. Fortunately, for the last 20 years, I have not had a car payment to deal with, and that's been a wonderful thing. And hopefully you're getting yourself into that position to where you don't have to have that. Mortgages. I've had a few mortgages in my time as well. I don't have one now though, so that's a good thing. So let's talk about some of the things that I did that I also want to talk about here a little bit. One of them is loans against my 401k. So I think there was a period of time where I had a couple loans at the same time against my 401k, and who knows what the reason was for taking it out. I'm sure I thought they were very legitimate at the time, and I think to some extent you justify a loan against a 401k because you're paying that money back, right? And you're also paying interest. At least the company I worked for at the time, you paid interest back, in fact. And so it sort of gives you that, like, okay, well, I'm just taking some of my money and I'm paying myself back. So what's the hurt? Well, the hurt is that you're losing that compound interest on that money while it's not in your account. So that's something that I hope that nobody else has done, or be very cautious if you get to the point of thinking about doing that. Something else I did with my 401ks, I actually took a withdrawal out one time to put on a down payment on a house. Now, that was even before I turned 59 and a half, so guess what? I had to pay the 10% penalty on top of all that. So, of course, that money didn't go back into my account. And so I lost that money altogether, and I have never went back and tried to really figure out from that $25,000 I think it was that I took out, how much lost opportunity loss there was with that money not being in my account. But I probably don't really want to know that anyway, right? I was also inconsistent at times with the percentage that I was putting into my retirement savings accounts. So I always worked for companies that had a company match on the 401k account that you could participate in. I never went below that, and I hope that none of you ever will go below that if you've got a company match, for sure. But I also wasn't very consistent about staying at the 10, 12, 15% that I should have been taking out to maximize what I could put into that account. I wasn't consistent about that. There were times where I lowered it down to what the company match was, and for various reasons. Again, you sort of wonder, looking back on that now, it's like that extra few dollars is probably what it turned out to be, per paycheck, per week. Probably didn't really help me out into what I thought I was doing there. So try to stay away from these kind of crazy things. The last one I want to talk about is something that, I wish I hadn't did it, hope nobody does, but, it is one of those life things. I did go through a divorce, financially, I'll talk about that for a second. You know, obviously that affected me quite a bit from a financial standpoint. I'm not going to sit here and say that it didn't affect my ex-wife in the same respect. You know, a divorce is just a bad thing for everything. But the worst part of a divorce is what it can do to the children. And we had 2 children. And, you know, I went from being a dad that saw them every day to a dad that might not see them every other week. To make things worse, I moved out of state for 6 years. And so I didn't have a chance to go to their ball games during the week and that kind of thing. I did fly them over to where I lived, you know, a couple times a month on my weekends, but that's not the same. And so I missed a lot of time there. And to me, forget the finance side of it. That's a tough thing, especially for a man probably to focus on and think about. But really, when I look back on it now, it's the time I had lost with my kids. Now, fortunately for me, and hopefully fortunately for my children, we've got a great relationship now. My son is actually my neighbor, and my daughter lives 10 miles away. I have 4 beautiful, wonderful grandchildren that I adore, and I think they adore me. So we've recovered from that. And I just want to say overall, you know, you can recover from these stupid things that a person may do during their life. So you can have that full retirement. I'm enjoying retirement. Yeah, maybe I don't have quite the funds that I would have if I hadn't made all these mistakes that I just talked about. But on the other hand, you know, I can still have a very fulfilling and am having a very fulfilling retirement. So these are things that, you know, I'm sort of laying out there that I did wrong. Hopefully you won't. But also I want to, you know, that caveat out there that you can recover from things. And, you know, you just need to think of retirement in a way that, you know, live within the means that you have, and you can have a wonderful retirement. So, at the end of this video, like I always say, every time, retirement is great. Thank you, guys.